Welcome to Stock Therapy with Penny Queen. Today I have Aduro Clean Technologies CEO Ofer Vicus with me. Ofer, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Hi.
All right. Well, this week was a really big week for investors. It was a major de risking week. I am sure it was also a very big week for you, but the announcement that the R2 continuous flow plastics reactor is up and running. So, congratulations. I was really excited. Looks like the market was also very excited. So, can you tell
That is
me a
very
little
much
more?
holding on you.
Can you tell me a little
Yes.
more about the unit and what this means for the company?
So thank you for having me and thank you for everyone, for spending the time listening to us actually. Um, for us it's I think there is two maybe items that needs to be to put in context. So we knew that R2, it's basically we knew that the chemistry would work there. The issue is, can you run it in, can you run it out, can you fit it? Fine. So we trust ourselves in the team and the fact that we can do it, and that's okay. But I know fairly from the comments that we had and discussions with investors and companies at our stage, is the scale up becomes an issue, and we were very sensitive to what we said to investors. And so for us, of course, showing that the process is working and that we commission it and we had to undergo certain steps in order to do so is, of course, we see it as highly important. We give it high priority, and the messaging. We have run polymers in the process already 3 or 4 weeks ago, but we didn't came up and just jump on it because we wanted to a little bit get to know the process, understand how it's operated. It's still a new process, although we've done things before in continuous flow in the bitumen. And so it was fairly important that we feel comfortable saying what we're saying. And with that, of course, the message was really, really important for us to come and says, we owned it. It's the process is up and running. It's has its issues. It doesn't have its issue. It doesn't matter. We're using the process, and we're bringing our attention now to the customers, to the customer engagement. We're going to commit the process to our engagement with customers, and we're going to commit the process to investigate our what we call operation envelope in order to build the next level process, basically the one that is a ton per day unit. So those are the tasks that are in front of us. And while we've been doing it, we basically opened the door to allow ourselves to talk possible customers, build up our customer pipeline, basically. So all of this, I really wanted all of this to come back and to the investors for them to listen to this. And this is just one item, because I thought there is several other items that needs to be maybe covered, and I'll share with you as well.
All right,
As
perfect. Well, I'm really excited, and knowing that this R2 unit is really a demo unit for new customers, and it's a way for you to be able to explore the capabilities even better. It makes me very excited, but I do have to say, I did assume that you had it running before you told us, because I know the nature of the crew there and the nature of the company, and
Thank you.
everything is there's a lot of honesty and integrity, and that's something that we definitely don't see a lot in the small cap market. But that you're methodical in everything. I knew
Which
that it was going to work because I've been over all the literature, and I know that I know that it was already third party verified, and I know that anybody who's already partnering with you and doing that exploration has looked through the science. But from the
Yeah.
investor standpoint, it was just such a major checkbox for everyone. So still super excited, more than you guys are even.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's very, very important to hear that from you. I mean, and as much as we try to portray, it's not always, people get to decide whatever they want to decide, I guess. We said initially to investors, and we submitted to investors that, if we're working with a possible customer like Shell and there is an investigative mode, So they know everything in the market. And so what we're doing through that process is validating some steps. So they have a feeling of our ability to commercial that process or not. They have a feeling of their capabilities to improve that process if should they need and find it interesting, as you can imagine. So it's us, then we referred and says the more we'll bring more brands, then for the investors, it is a de-risking process. So rather than us talking about, the issues of scale up, really just look at the bigger picture, maybe of us partnering with the right organization that can help us bring it to life. So that would be a worthy of investment, right? Like if we convince others to join us. And so I think I wanted to bring the focus through that journey to how do we see our partners? How do we, with whom we want to work through that journey? And that is, for me, would be meaningful, I think, also for the investors, because I know we'll get our help on the way to solve our problem, basically.
Yeah. The caliber of the partners. I mean, even all the way to the engineering group that you have. I know that they have worked on some very large scale projects, but
yeah. All of the organizations that we're working so far, has experience, and each one of them is his own sector. We're talking about, I'll say, Exergy that is doing a lot of in the bitumen environment. Where we're talking about Brightland that has, several engineering companies right in on Brightland's side that are all taking solid plastic, somehow liquefied it and push it in some reactor. They've been there, they've done that. There's no surprises for them. They can help us a lot. And so our discussions are, I think, with the right partners, and we'll change. There'll be partners on the way that will say goodbye and shake hands, and there'll be new partners that will come in. It's basically, feeding the right engineering or the right partner to the right time as we move along, as we grow up. So some organization can do smaller scale, other organization can do near a larger or commercial scale, and it's now you have to find the right mix for them. But I think we're in a good journey and quite healthy from where I stand.
all right. Well, can you explain a little bit what that journey was like? Because I know you've gone from, batch scale to continuous flow, from, a little lab to now what it's like a 4,000 square foot shop. So it's
the new office, the new space. Yeah. So in a way, I thought that the press release that we produced, that we showed, was really to the existing investors, not to the new investors. I wanted to share with the existing investors the length and the magnitude of the things we've been doing in the last 4 months. But on the higher picture, I wanted to stress that what we've been doing in the last year is giving the company new capabilities, really. So the journey was, as you mentioned, is that we have been maybe a team in some kind of a laboratory phase. And through the last year, we brought upon and we hired 6 more staff. All of them are operational guys. And we increased our staff. We practically doubled and built an operation department for us. And through that journey, we had to act as a company and write endless amount of material, which is necessary to the safety and operational user manuals and safety manuals and training manuals. And we had to write protocols. So all of that, there are books and books and books that we've been built up in the last few months. So I just wanted to share that type of the magnitude of what we've been doing with the investors, just to let them know that if we've been quiet or seen that we've been quiet, this is the stuff that we've been doing while being quiet. So it wasn't so quiet for us, but I understand how it looks from the outside. We've been keeping doing exactly what we told investors, which was focusing on the execution. But how would you execute? You would have to build the infrastructure. So we refer to those building blocks in 2022, and now we are combining those building blocks. We brought the company to a stage where these building blocks are functional and speaking together, and now we're ready to materialize on them. That's really what the intention, right? This is what we want to go with it. So our focus right now is basically the same as we said to investors. We're still on bringing in more brands. We're still on focusing on the larger processing unit, but now we have more tools to do it, right? The building blocks that we talked about are now ready for us to be used. And I know, I should say it's all going to be fun and lovey-dovey in a journey. No, there'll be issues there, but I mean, we brought in that I believe is very, very strong and capable. We have absolutely the right people to commercialize the technology. I think overall, the personals that we build around us, that we select, we have enough intellectual capabilities, we have enough knowledge, at least to know what do we don't know and to whom to approach in order to help us, basically. And so I trust everything that we do now. I really put my trust in the team and know that we can do it.
All right. So let's see. So just to recap, you had the move. Did you hire 8 engineers? Is that right?
There is a total of 8, so we increased the staff, our research, but we brought of the 8, 6 of them are really on the operational side. So we brought a project manager and 5 operation guys, a mixture of experience and young people. There is a lot of men years in the operation guys. These guys have been seen a lot. In bitumen, we have guys from the bitumen section. We have guys that works on high pressure systems. We have guys that works on commercial and pilots. So we have a mixture of everything. And, it's so important because when you build equipment and you think this thing should run, and after 24 hours, this thing is dead. And so why? And somebody comes up and says, yeah, that is for the lab. This is what you need for operation. Okay, let's go buy it. That's that type of possibility. This is what we brought in as a team at home, and that gives the company the ability to move around and navigate. And now we can engage our customers and talk about customers about our capabilities, and after that, of course, building pipeline, right? Customers pipeline to move forward.
All right, I'm very excited. Let's touch on some of the news you've had that, at least that I feel kind of was missed by the market. So your new European hub, can you explain simply to everyone the purpose of that? I'm pretty sure I get it, but I just don't think that the market in general understood where clients can be. And
it serves as 2 purposes, or maybe 3, but really 2 main purposes. The European hub, there is in Brightland and the environment of Brightland, there are organizations that we know are interested to work and help us build this consortium to build our semi-commercial or our demonstration unit. And Brightland, I mentioned that Brightland is they were very much focusing with us on feedstock or polymers that are otherwise harder to recycle. Basically, they're very there's various of issues with them. Either they're very much contaminated or they're mixture with other plastics, and we know that our process can help doing so. So there was a lot of interest there. So this entity could be used to build this consortium. And normally when you work with consortiums, you're not just working with several companies that are partnering with this consortium locally, but you also apply to government grants and, all kind of an organization locally. So it makes sense to have that type of an envelope to run the subsidiary from there, and because of that you can pretty much operate locally with anyone. Now the other item is that often in Europe, and we noticed that when how we are scattered, right? We're working in different places. And we find a lot of the time that when we talked about hiring people in Europe, there was a comfort zone, a higher comfort zone to work with the local company that applies to the local rules and regulations. So from our perspective, bringing the team on board and getting the best people that we think we could, that was a vehicle for us to do it. So, this entity is already in use right now. Like we are, beyond the fact that I'm getting emails of people wants to work for us and job application, which is wonderful to see. We set some mind already to speak to some possible local partners. We set some minds to talk about this consortium. We are searching and investigating the right government grants that will do, so it is all come to the same place basically. And it's not in immediate, it's just a little bit of a journey that you will do. But it gives us access to the local market. It gives us access to local customers. It gives us an opportunity to build a presence, an international presence. Think of Aduro 3 or 4 years away. We told the investors that we will have local hubs. This is our first efforts to put an international face in Europe, basically, which is overarching everything that I just told you. So it's all mixed together. We were talking about it with Bylan already 2 years ago. It just was not the time. We needed our time, and COVID came, COVID went out, things happened. And okay, we came back and, we're taking full action on it.
Wow. Yeah, it's just been such an exciting 6 months. So another thing I wanted to touch on is the financing. So you had the financing; it was oversubscribed. Really nice to see that brought in almost 4 million, and then you had about 1.5 million in warrants come in. That's gotta feel good having those exercised.
I every time I feel there is almost a connection with our investors, and I dare I want our messages to stay intact, and our voice and whatever we tell our investors to remain exactly the same. And when we say it, we commit the company to do it. And so I think what happened is in return is that we got a little bit of that type of credit in return, and people saw and recognized the journey, and it feels extremely good to see that. To be honest, it just, it was very, very good. Everyone, you can't take away at the time the status of the market, the fear that was in the market at the time. Nobody speaks about it, and yet again we prevail and overachieve, if you will. It was such a satisfying moment to see it, honestly.
Yeah, it's something that I know I've probably talked about this more on my platform than I really need to, but Aduro really stands apart to me because there was so much inside ownership, and that everyone on the team is truly committed to the vision. It's not, you're not selling gadgets, you're solving a major problem for the world, making money for investors, and that your shares are unlocked as progress is made. And I don't think a lot of people understand that that's something that was devised by you and your team. It wasn't.
We haven't. Yeah, we stick to our guns. We believe in the company. This is not a high price for us to even look at it, but we told investors that there is a first milestone, there is a second milestone. We commit our ownership to that, and we'll deliver to those. So our full attention is to do that, to materialize on it. It's hard to maybe sometimes pass this message to investors. Investors are, they have scars on their back as well, right?
Yeah.
And so they've learned a lot. And so there is a lot of yeah. And so what's left to do is just to prove it. What's your other way around it, really? And so that's what we're focusing all day, I guess, in the last few months, is just execution.
As an investor, it's refreshing to see a company do what they said they're going to do, treat their investors fairly. And I also appreciate that when you go for these raises, they appear to fit the need. It's not.
Yeah. Diligent. This is with. I have to say. We're lucky to have Mina as a CFO. Successful one. It doesn't matter. Just we're lucky to have him. Him being in a way an investor and also part of the company. See both ends. It gives us the ability to feel the need. It gives us not always. Everything. Sometimes you have to make decisions, and just led by Mina, we really, very, very satisfying to see how we are managing the money. We are very diligent with the way we are using our money. We remember what we tell investors, and we spend it on what we believe it is exactly what we told investors we're going to do. and we try to achieve in every dollar that we put in, we try to achieve, multiples to bring back to the investors and to show it in return as some kind of a form of return. And so that's the work. I'm sorry for the dog if you hear it. There's a
I
lot of
can't.
noise.
I
Oh,
can't.
okay.
Don't worry. There's kids in the background here. So,
Right. Okay. But yeah, that's I'm just highly satisfied by the way we're managing ourselves financially, and it's you look around and you get to see, take a look at the reports, at the financial reports, and do investigate and see if you think it's been behaving, and taking in the right direction. So we don't take money that we don't need, but we're spending money diligently as we see fit.
all right. And I also want to add, it was nice to see that there's been some investor relations work added. And
Yes. Yes.
I
And
think some more exposure would do the company well, because I have a
absolutely.
feeling that if investors in some of the other publicly listed companies that are tackling these same problems had Aduro in front of them, that they would make a switch.
Right.
So
Right.
I won't ask you to comment on any other
Go ahead.
any other technologies. And as I always say, the problem is big enough that there is room for many
Everybody.
competitors. But the
Yeah.
value proposition of Aduro, to me, is incredible. So
Yes, I feel I share the same perspective. I think we are recognizing by the market, at that size, and we know where there's a lot of room for us to grow in that end, and it could happen quite quickly, I believe. And basically for us, and I mentioned that before as well, this is a year of changing. So what we've been building the building blocks. We've been assembled an R&D team. We've been assembled an operation team. We're now assembling the units that we can operate. Our attention is to bring more brands, and we are focusing entirely on increasing, looking at the design of the other unit. So there's a lot of catalysts there for us that are in this area for us to make the change. But through that journey, we've already changed the company again. At least internally, we're bigger, but what do you mean? We're not fatter. We just brought more capabilities to the company that now we can materialize on, and this is really, really important. We can actually do the things we aspire to do because of that. That's very, very important. So I take that, fast forward, it's a tool that you can use internally to bring more value inside, and that's what we all want to do, right? That's what we want to see.
yeah, I am very excited for what the rest of the year holds. And is there anything else you want to cover?
um I think just for me, the reason I wanted to share the press release the way it was, because the press release was not, as I mentioned, to a new investors. It was really to the existing investors, to say, first of all, thank you very much. And just to show a list of our recent activities in the last 3-4 months. You can see that it's pretty busy, writing the material, hiring those people, bringing those processes into life and commission them. And so for me, it was very, very much important to explain that we've been doing what we told investors that we will be doing, but the sheer magnitude of it needed to be come out and just be explained a little bit. The other message, I guess, was really important is that we told investors that we are focusing on execution. That's what we intend, and that's what we're doing. That's all. I mean, I'm hoping that you will see in the next few months news release about adding more brands into it. Now that we have the unit, we can do some of that, and our attention immediately shifted, right there to the larger unit. We're not stopping here.
All right. Well, I'm very excited, and I would love to hear more brands coming on board. So
Yeah.
I will
Yeah. Yeah.
I will stay tuned, and if you have any other news for investors, you let me know, and I will do my best to tell everyone I know.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, the comment you made a comment, man, baby. I thought maybe we should address, and that
Okay.
is um, putting this, getting the IR and putting our awareness outside. And so we hired, you're right, we hired Arrowheads, and we will be busy in the next few weeks to put our messaging out there in front of more investors, in front of the story, in front of more eyes. I'll be busy together with Mina and without Mina sometimes, speaking to these type of investors. And the whole idea is, as we are speaking about those catalysts, as we are, taking and moving forward in the growth, we want much more eyes to see it. So that is a section we didn't speak before. We just, passed by, but we're absolutely, intending to do so in the next few months. And so I believe that will also reflect, back again in many ways. So let's see how that works.
And for the Canadian investors, I think it's also important for them to know that there's a large following developing in the US for Aduro. And
Yeah.
that hasn't been the case before, and now I watch it every day. I see the volume. I see that a lot of trades go on US to US, so we don't even see it on the Canadian volume that Aduro is becoming more well known. So I think it's going to catch fire.
That's very satisfying to hear it. Thank you very much.
So, all right. Well, thank you for joining me, and I'm excited to get this out to all the investors. So,
I look forward. Thank
all
you.
right. Thanks. Bye.